The difference between statements, expressions, and functions can be explained with few words. A statement does something, an expression evaluates to something, and a function is a subroutine that can be used to be called from multiple places in your code. It can evaluate to something, or not. But this all needs more explanation. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how things work in Python. Other languages might implement things differently. With that said, let me start with statements.
The first statement is an assignment statement. I type a equals 10, and when I press enter, something interesting happens. Python accepts the statement but does not show a result. The assignment statement did not evaluate to something. It just did something. So what did it do? You can see that by calling the built-in locals function. You are looking at the current namespace, and I'll get back to that later. For now, it is important to see what Python did. Name A was created, and value 10 was assigned to it. So I repeat, the statement did something. In this case, it created a key value pair in the current namespace. So what more statements are there? A for loop is a flow control statement. If I execute this code, number 1, 3, and 8 appear. But the for loop itself did not evaluate to something. The output was created by evaluating the individual numbers. Something similar happens with if-else clauses. When I execute this code, one of the f strings will be evaluated. But notice that the if-else clause itself did not evaluate to something. So in general, you can say that a statement does something and does not evaluate to something. What does evaluate to something are expressions. There are literal integer expressions, literal string expressions, literal float expressions, and Python has a few more ways to create literals. They all evaluate to something. Expressions can have numeric operators. The result of the calculation evaluates to a value. There are also function call expressions, like calling built-in functions min and max. They evaluate to values as well. So expressions evaluate to something. For this, they might do something first, like adding two numbers or call a function. But the result is a value that can be used later on. So what about functions? Well, here is where things get more fuzzy, at least in Python. What happens if I execute this code? Nothing. Well, not nothing, of course. I call locals again. And look at that. Name add was created and its value is a function object. Calling the add function is a function call expression and evaluates to a value. In this case, the value 9. So, are we done here? No. There is a villain in our story. The problem is that not all functions return a meaningful value. Here is a print statement. What does it return? Nothing. And what about this text? Well, it was not Python who shows it. It is the terminal. Python printed something to standard out, which, by default, is the terminal. So print is a function that does not return. When functions return none or do not return at all, they are used as a statement. So generally, this table is correct, but as always, there are some exceptions. For example, Python has an assignment expression that assigns a value and evaluates to a value. Python uses the walrus operator for this.
Now, there is one thing I promised to come back to, and that is the namespace. And if you want to learn more about that, click on this video right now. There you learn how scoping and namespaces work in Python.